Cold open. Dale Kowalski hadn't slept, not because of nerves, because the guy 2 booths down at the Waffle House was arguing with a napkin dispenser at 3 a.m., and Dale found it more interesting than his coffee. Dale was 34, drove a forklift at a distribution warehouse in Toledo, Ohio, and had exactly one talent: not caring about things that should terrify him. His ex-wife called it emotional constipation. His therapist called it dissociation. Dale called it Tuesday. So when a man in a suit that fit too well slid into his booth and said, "We have an opportunity. It is extremely dangerous. Most who accept do not return," Dale just nodded slowly and said, "Does it pay better than forklift?" "Substantially. I'm in. No paperwork. No questions about aliens, spaceships, or the fact that the recruiter's eyes didn't blink quite right. Dale just wanted out of Toledo. Warning scene. The agency office smelled like ozone and burnt coffee. A woman named Director Reyes, human, but clearly aware, slid a folder across the desk. Inside were photos that should not have existed, things with too many limbs, skies the wrong color, numbers labeled survival probability that made Dale's eyebrows twitch. "Mr. Kowalski, I need you to understand something," Reyes said, voice flat with practiced seriousness. "Ganathi Prime has a mortality rate of 81% for trained specialists. You are not a trained specialist. You are a warehouse worker. Forklift's basically a spaceship if you squint," Dale said. Reyes did not laugh. "The atmosphere is corrosive. The gravity fluctuates without warning. There are predators that hunt in frequencies your ears can't process until it's too late." "Sounds like my last apartment." Reyes stared at him for a long moment, the way you'd stare at a man juggling knives blindfolded. Then she stood, gathered the folder, and said the line that would end up on a memorial plaque 8 months later, though not for the reason she intended. "Don't blame me if you come back in a box." Dale just shrugged. "Wouldn't be the worst box I've lived in." Squad introduction. The briefing room held 4 other beings, and Dale was, without question, the least impressive thing in it. First was Mvexthala, a Skaran warrior whose skin shifted color based on threat proximity, currently a calm blue, which Dale would later learn meant everyone in this room is about to die eventually. Vexthala had survived the Second Hollow War, personally ended 11 confirmed void wraiths, and had a scar across her throat from a blade that, according to her file, should have killed anything with a pulse. She looked at Dale the way a wolf looks at a golden retriever wearing a name tag. Second was Under Archivist Pell, a squat, 4-armed being from a species that processed information through touch. Pell had memorized the complete tactical histories of 11 war zones and could recite the failure points of any known battlefield vehicle from memory. Pell's arms trembled slightly, a nervous tic that activated whenever calculating probabilities or which, near Dale, happened constantly. Third was Dr. Esikavith, a Vren, tall insectoid, with compound eyes that saw in 12 spectrums no human eye could process. Siskavith held 3 medical doctorates and had personally developed the antivenom used across 9 allied systems. Siskavith's mandibles clicked with barely restrained anxiety whenever near open flame, which was often because Ganathi Prime was covered in it. Fourth and largest was Mabronkaikor, an Ursidan mercenary the size of a delivery truck, plating like industrial armor, veteran of 42, confirmed extraction missions, with a body count that made the translator device stutter, trying to phrase it politely. Then there was Dale. No scars, no degrees, no combat record, just a guy in a borrowed jumpsuit holding a lukewarm energy drink like it was the only thing keeping him upright. "This," said Vexthala, not looking up from her weapon check, "is the 5th specialist?" "Human," Pell confirmed, 4 hands flipping through a data slate. "Species designation baseline. No enhancements. No prior combat experience." "What is his specialty?" Skavith asked, mandibles clicking. Dale raised a hand. "I'm real good at waiting in lines." Nobody laughed. Vexthala's skin flickered a shade of gray that, Dale would later learn, meant concern bordering on grief. Comedy escalation loop. "The planet's gravity fluctuates by 400% without warning," Pell said, arms trembling. "One moment you weigh nothing, The next, you are crushed flat. Dale sipped his drink. Sounds like my mother-in-law's mood swings. Vexthala's skin flashed orange. Is that a threat classification on your world? Basically. The Vrez flies, as Kavith clicked, burrow through flesh in under 4 seconds. They are attracted to body heat and carbon dioxide. So mosquitoes, but they finish the job, Dale said. We got those in Ohio in July. You just don't go outside without bug spray and a prayer. Bronkai's massive frame stiffened. You have survived in this before? Every summer since I was a kid? The storms, Pell said, generate lightning strikes at a rate of 1 per second across the entire surface. Dale nodded slowly. That's basically a Midwest thunderstorm on a Tuesday. My uncle got struck twice mowing the lawn. Walked it off both times. Well, the second time he walked funny for a month, but he walked. Vexthala's color cycled through 3 shades of alarm. Your species survives repeated electrical trauma? We mostly survive out of spite. The soil itself is mildly acidic, as Kavith said. Prolonged skin contact causes chemical burns. Man, that's just my grandma's chili, Dale said. That stuff eats through Tupperware. I've seen it happen. There's a native predator, Bronchi rumbled, the size of a transport vehicle, that hunts by sound and can crack armor plating in a single bite. Dale considered this. We got bears. One time a bear got into my buddy's garage over a bag of trail mix. Tore the door clean off. He just bought a new door. Pell's arms had stopped trembling and started vibrating. This is not a comparison. This is a catastrophic underestimation of threat. Or, Dale said, everything's just weather if you live near it long enough. The final descent zone, Vexthala said quietly, is inside an active volcanic field. Eruptions occur roughly every 6 hours. There is no shelter. Dale thought about it for a genuinely long moment. The longest pause he'd had all briefing. Yeah, okay, that one's new. The squad visibly relaxed. Finally, a threat the human respected. But, Dale added, my cousin lives near a paper mill that smells worse. They did not relax. Arrival and world reveal. Ganathi Prime looked like a nightmare painted by someone who'd only heard secondhand descriptions of beautiful. The sky churned. A deep bruised violet, streaked with lightning that never seemed to fully stop. The ground hissed faintly wherever exposed, a low chemical exhale, like the planet itself was breathing something toxic. The moment the transport doors opened, Bronkai's armor plating groaned under pressure adjustments. Mrs. Kavith's environmental suit hissed warnings across all 12 visible spectrums. Pell's 4 hands moved. Rapid fire across a stabilizer. Unit that was already overheating. Vexthala's skin cycled through every color, in her range within the first 90 seconds, settling on a deep, worried crimson. Dale stepped off the ramp in his standard-issue suit, looked around and said, reminds me of Cleveland in February. Your equipment readings, Pell said, staring at a scanner pointed at Dale, indicate minimal environmental strain. Suit's doing its job, I guess. What Pell didn't say, what none of them said yet, because it seemed impossible, was that Dale's suit readings weren't just stable. They were barely engaged. The atmospheric processors were running at 12% capacity while everyone else's redlined past 90. The gravitational compensator hadn't triggered once. Dale wasn't surviving Ganathi Prime. He was ignoring it. Bronchi, sweat, or whatever Ursidans produced instead, beating beneath his helmet, muttered, the human suit must be malfunctioning. Or, Vexthala said slowly, watching Dale casually scratch at a smear of acidic mud on his boot like it was ketchup. It isn't. The Vrez swarm. The squad deployed full defensive protocol, heat-dampening cloaks, sonic disruptors, a rotating 3-point perimeter. The Vrez flies came anyway, a shrieking black cloud that dropped Skivith to one knee despite full protective gear. Dale, 20 feet away, was slapping his own neck and swearing. Report! Vexthala barked. Bug got me, Dale said, flicking a tiny smoking corpse off his glove. Ohio bug spray would have handled this better, honestly. He'd been bitten 4 times. He complained about none of them. The squad's medical logs later showed his bite reactions healed in under an hour. No antivenom required. The gravity well. A sudden gravitational spike hit the camp without warning, exactly as briefed. Bronchi was slammed into the dirt, plating cracking. Pell's stabilizer unit shorted out entirely. Sikivith clung to a support strut, mandibles clattering in what Dale now recognized as fear. Dale, mid-sip of recycled water, simply staggered, spilled some on his boot and said, "Whoa, okay, elevator's broke." He did not fall. He swayed, the way a man sways on a subway train, and kept standing. Vexthala, pinned beneath a collapsed support beam, stared at him with an expression the translator rendered only as disbelief, layered, prolonged. The human's biology defies categorization. Initial hypothesis, hidden enhancement technology. Scans reveal none. Secondary hypothesis, species-wide resilience beyond documented baselines. This contradicts all historical intelligence on Terran specimens. I am recommending immediate reclassification pending further. Entry cuts off, static. Pell's voice returns quieter. He is currently eating something out of a foil packet labeled beef jerky, while standing in an active hazard zone. I do not understand this species. The acid rains. The storm rolled in exactly on schedule. Corrosive. Rain that ate through standard field. Tarps in under 10 minutes. The squad retreated to reinforced shelter, sealing every gap, running triple-filtered air. Dale got caught outside collecting equipment. By the time he made it back, his jacket had visible burn holes. "Kowalski!" Selkovith's mandibles clattered in alarm. "Report injury status immediately." Dale peeled off the ruined jacket, revealing skin that was, at most, faintly pink. "Feels like a sunburn. Had worse from a bad tanning bed in high school." Zakevith ran a scanner over him 3 separate times, each time getting the same impossible reading. No chemical burn beneath the epidermis. The rain that dissolved reinforced tarp material in minutes had done less damage to Dale than a beach day, the apex predator. This was the one Vexthala had warned about, the vehicle-sized hunter that struck by sound. It came at dusk, exactly as intelligence predicted, crashing through the camp's perimeter with a roar that cracked. Bronkai's helmet visor, full combat protocol activated. Vexthala engaged with her blade, drawing first blood along its flank. Bronkai took a glancing hit that dented his armor inward. Pell coordinated a retreat sequence. Skavith prepped emergency trauma kits. Dale, who had been sitting on an equipment crate eating cold rations, stood up, walked toward the chaos, and threw the crate at the creature's head. It stumbled, just long enough for Vexthala to land the finishing blow. Silence fell over the camp. 5 beings stared at the enormous, unmoving predator and then at Dale, who was picking his crate back up like it was recycling day. "You," Vexthala said slowly, "threw a supply crate at the planet's apex predator." "It was in my way," Dale said. "Also, that crate had my snacks in it." Nobody spoke for a full 10 seconds. Status flip. By the second week, something had shifted. Vexthala no longer positioned herself between Dale and danger. She positioned herself where he pointed. Pell had stopped calculating Dale's survival odds and started calculating everyone else's odds if they followed his lead. Esses Kavith kept medical scans on him not out of worry, but out of scientific fascination bordering on reverence. Bronkai, largest and proudest of them all, had taken to calling him simply Anchor. Nobody said the word weak around Dale anymore. Nobody had really, and not since day 3. What changed was quieter, the way Vexthala's skin, once flickering with alarm every time Dale approached danger casually, now settled into a steady, calm gold. "He is not fragile," she said to Pell one evening, watching Dale attempt to season alien rations with hot sauce, packets he'd smuggled from Earth. "He is simply built for a different kind of war than ours." Pell's arms for the first time in 10 days were still. Cliffhanger close. They found the structure on day 12, buried beneath ashfall, half swallowed by the planet's shifting crust. Not natural. Not Ganathi. The architecture was old, geometric in ways that made Pell's forehands go rigid mid-scan. "This predates every known civilization in this sector," Pell said, voice tight. Esses Kavith's mandibles had stopped clicking entirely. A silence that unsettled Dale more than any alarm. The energy signature beneath the surface. "It is active." Vexthala drew her blade without being asked. "We are not equipped for this." Dale crouched at the structure's threshold, running a hand along symbols that seemed to shift when he wasn't looking. Directly at them, something deep below pulsed once, a slow, deliberate heartbeat of light traveling up through the stone toward his palm. He didn't pull his hand away. "Huh," he said quietly. That's new. Behind him, every alarm on every suit in the squad began screaming at once.